buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving into the world of startup funding.
Ooh, startup funding.
Yeah. Specifically, we're going to be looking at environmental tech and enterprise software.
Okay.
And to guide us through this exciting landscape, we're going to be using a recent report from Bearhug Recruiting.
Oh, Bearhug Recruiting. Yeah, they're the ones who help those startups find amazing talent, right?
Exactly. They have their fingers on the pulse of who's getting funded, and more importantly, what that tells us about the future of innovation.
It's like a sneak peek into what's coming next.
Right. So this Bearhug report, it covers the week of August 19th, 2024. And let me tell you, it is packed with interesting funding rounds.
Oh, I bet. What kind of things stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really struck me was just how much AI is popping up in sectors you might not expect. Like, take Uptime AI, for instance. They snagged $14 million for their platform.
What do they do?
So they use AI to monitor plants, like factories and industrial facilities.
Okay, so not the leafy green kind of plants. Got it.
All right. Yeah. No, not those kind of plants, although that's probably something someone's working on too. But this is all about keeping those big industrial operations running smoothly.
Makes sense. I mean, those industries like oil and gas, chemicals, utilities, they're all looking for ways to be more efficient. And Uptime AI seems to be tapping into that.
And let's not forget the sustainability angle.
Right.
By optimizing these plants' performance, they could potentially be reducing their environmental impact as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, IT Pipes caught my eye in this report. They just banked a cool $20 million for their pipeline inspection technology.
Oh, yeah. IT pipes. They're all about using AI and cloud-based solutions to manage those essential but often overlooked wastewater and stormwater systems.
Exactly. And I think their success really highlights the growing emphasis on making our infrastructure more resilient and environmentally sound.
And it's not just about monitoring anymore. It's about using AI to actually prevent problems before they even happen.
Which is exactly what Guidewheel is doing on the factory floor, right? They just secured $31 million for their AI platform, and it's all about making factories more efficient.
Right. And what I find particularly interesting about Guidewheel is that they're backed by decarbonization partners.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about boosting profits for these factories. It's about making sure those profits are sustainable in every sense of the word.
Precisely. Okay, now get this. Quantum Circuits just raised a massive $60 million.
$50 million. What could they possibly... Wait, is this for quantum computers?
You got it. Quantum computers.
Wow. I mean, that's a serious chunk of change. But then again, quantum computing is a game changer. The things we could do, the problems we could solve, it boggles the mind.
I know. And speaking of mind-boggling, we've got to talk about DevRev. They just pulled in a whopping $100 million for their AI-powered platform.
$100 million. Okay, they must be doing something pretty incredible. What is it?
So they're using this thing called a knowledge graph.
Oh, a knowledge graph. Now, that's an interesting one. Imagine, if you will, a vast network of information, all interconnected, constantly learning and evolving, like a giant super-powered brain. That's essentially what a knowledge graph is.
And DevRev is using that to revolutionize how companies handle things like customer support and even product development.
It's about connecting the dots, seeing the patterns that would otherwise remain hidden in a mountain of data.
Right. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've also got companies like Raji developing AI tools specifically for developers.
Which just goes to show you how the demand for AI expertise is exploding across all industries.
And then there's Heatmap focusing on e-commerce analytics and Lively bringing AI to the world of property management.
It's really amazing to see how AI is permeating every corner of the business world, isn't it? But what's also interesting is how companies are pushing boundaries in other really cool ways.
You took the thought right out of my mouth. And case in point, Spline. They just snagged $10 million for their 3D design platform.
Spline, yeah. I was reading about them. They're all about making 3D design more accessible, right? Exactly. And it's not just about making things look pretty either. We're talking about creating interactive 3D content. And here's the kicker. You don't need to be a coding wizard to use it.
I feel like we're stepping into the world of sci-fi movies here. You know, those super sleek, futuristic interfaces?
Right. But here's the thing. It's not sci-fi anymore. This is the real deal. Speaking of which, ArborXR, they just raked in $12 million for their extended reality platform.
Extended reality, that's another big one. I'm really curious to see how that plays out, especially in the enterprise space.
Well, that's exactly where ArborXR is focusing. Think training, collaboration, remote work, all happening within these immersive virtual environments.
Okay, so like instead of just staring at a screen during a meeting, you could be interacting with your colleagues in a virtual replica of your office.
Or imagine architects walking through a 3D model of a building they're designing, being able to actually experience the space together.
It's like teleportation, but for work. Exactly. But before we get too carried away with virtual reality, this Bearhug report also reminded me about a really important aspect of the AI revolution: data, high quality data, and that's where InCord comes in. They just secured a cool $30 million for their AI data development platform.
And Cord. They're doing the behind-the-scenes work that often gets overlooked in all the AI hype.
Right, because it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of the algorithms and applications. But at the end of the day, AI is only as good as the data it's trained on.
It's like building a race car with a top-of-the-line engine, but then forgetting to fill the tank with premium fuel.
Perfect analogy. And while we're on the topic of keeping that AI engine running smoothly, let's talk about Goodfire. They just secured $7 million for their work on something absolutely critical in AI development: debugging.
Debugging, that's essential stuff. Because AI can be a bit of a black box sometimes, can it?
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to have an AI that can spit out predictions or make recommendations, but if we don't understand how it's arriving at those conclusions, how much can we really trust it, especially in areas like healthcare or finance?
Absolutely. And that's what makes Goodfire's work so crucial. They're developing tools that help us peek inside that black box to understand the why behind the AI's decisions.
It's like they're giving us that missing manual, the one that helps us understand what's really going on under the hood of these AI systems.
Exactly. And that understanding is key, especially as we're trusting AI with more and more important decisions.
Absolutely. So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive here into this world of startup funding, I'm curious to get your take on the big picture. What are some of the key takeaways that really stand out to you?
Well, I think if this report is any indication, the future is looking incredibly exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're seeing this really powerful convergence of environmental tech, enterprise software, and AI. And these sectors, they're not just existing side by side, they're fueling each other's growth.
Right. It's like this whole new technological ecosystem is emerging right before our eyes.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technology itself either. It's about the motivation behind it. These companies, they're driven by a desire to make a real difference in the world.
Yeah, you can really feel that sense of purpose in a lot of these ventures.
Absolutely. And, what's important to keep in mind is that this report, it's just a snapshot.
Right, like a single frame in a much larger film.
Exactly. There are countless other startups out there, each one with their own unique approach to shaping the future.
It's mind-blowing when you think about the sheer amount of innovation happening all around us. And here's the thing for our listeners: this isn't just about observing trends from a distance.
It's about recognizing how these advancements have the potential to impact every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely. So next time you see a headline about some company you've never heard of getting a bunch of funding for some new technology,
Don't just scroll past it.
yeah, take a moment, think about it. How could this impact your industry, your work, even your day-to-day life?
It's about connecting the dots, seeing those funding announcements as signposts pointing towards the future.
Because the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's being shaped right now by those innovative ideas and bold investments we're seeing in these companies. And who knows, maybe one day it'll be your name up there in those headlines.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Changing the world with your own groundbreaking idea. That's a pretty exciting thought to end on, don't you think?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? The future is full of possibilities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. And in our listeners, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep your eyes open for those signals of change, because the future, well, it's closer than you think.